Hello everybody, this is Backblast. Welcome back to Planet Zoo in my Royal Burger Zoo from the Netherlands. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be starting to build some of the enclosures, or at least one of the enclosures. And the way I'm going to be doing it is we're going to be looking at Street View on Google Maps. And we're going to be looking at how the enclosure looks. So we've already dealt with the height of the enclosure. So I'm looking here at the penguins. Let's just try and get the camera in the middle somewhere. That's a bit better. So we've already seen the height of the enclosure, and we know roughly how high it goes. All the pathways are pretty much in there or thereabouts. They need some tweaking, and that's what's going to be happening with the rest of the build. So when you come to build, for example, the penguins area, you're going to be looking at how the top part interacts with the bottom part. You're going to be looking at what else joins onto it, like these huts. So you might have to just adjust part of the pathway. There might be other things that you need to do. So, for example, there's a little bit of a walkway here that people can go out into. So you might have to extend the land there. So although we've got our basic map here, it's always going to be a work in progress. It's not set in stone. So when we come to put, say, for example, this building in, it might be that this pathway needs changing slightly. The pathway might need narrowing, widening. It might need moving away from the building slightly. It might not run exactly along it. And it's always going to be a bit of a tweak here and a tweak there, and just adjust things and just get things as we want them. So it's always going to be a bit of, okay, well, I've seen this now, I've studied it closely, I think it's changed slightly from what I originally thought. So what we've got there is a template of what we're going to build, and when we're actually putting it in, we'll just be adjusting it slightly and changing the odd bit here, like how do these pathways interact with this building, for example. So when you're looking at this, what we're going to be doing is, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get the land more or less where it is. So you can see there's different heights on it, and it's going to be difficult. It's quite a narrow space, this penguin enclosure, and although we've measured it in on the map, on the Google Maps up here, let me just try and show you up here. So when we actually built it, I measured the distances. Yeah, just zoom in, there we go. I measured the distances between this building and the enclosure, and I measured from this wall here to the road at the back. So the distances should be about right. So the enclosure's about right. It's just that there isn't an awful lot of space to actually do all those things. You know, we need to just tweak things around and shuffle things about. So don't be expecting what you've already done. If you're building along with this, don't expect it to be the final vision of what you're going to have, because you're going to change it slightly. Right, so what else? So we're going to be looking at the land. We then start looking at things like where the water is. So actually in this exhibit, the water's at two different levels. The first, there's a little river runs down here. There's one level of water that goes up to the top here, and then there's a little waterfall here, and then this level of water is lower. So we need to put that in, so it'll need a bit of land in between. And then we're going to start decorating with some rocks. Now rocks are easy because in the game, it doesn't matter. The animals aren't bothered about which rocks. It's nice to get it right with the nature. So for example, if we're doing the penguins like tundra and aquatic. So you're left with ice rocks, snow rocks, and tundra rocks, and that's it. That's all you're allowed. So these don't look like ice, they don't look like snow, but the tundra rocks will have to do. And you can see they're all tiny little rocks. There's no big boulders or anything. So it's sort of the back wall, this wall, and a bit along the front. And then what you need to do is you need to actually get some penguins in there. So if you actually go and buy some penguins in game, pop them in, and then have a look at how they're interacting with it. So you need to put a fence around it. And I'm going to be using a null barrier, and I'll show you that in a second. The one thing I'm not sure about with this enclosure is where the keepers get in. I don't know whether they just climb over the wall or something, or whether there's a tiny little entrance at the back that I don't know about up here somewhere that they can come down and in. I honestly don't know, so that's tricky, and we're going to have to find an entrance way if we do want to put penguins in. And then we need to find spaces for a few of the enrichment items. So I've shown you enough of this. What I'm going to do is I'll show you a little bit of build video, not much, and it doesn't cover much, and then we're going to show you the finished product. So bear with me, enjoy the video, I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed the little bit of video. I didn't do much of it. It's a fairly simple build, the penguins one, but you can see that what we've done now is we've filled it in and we've got some penguins in there. So let's just have a look at a couple of things that I found while building this. So we've managed to get pretty much all of the bits in. So we've got the little walkway in here. I extended the path out. We extended the land over. Obviously you've got to do all this before you put water in. And then we made sure that all the barriers were in the right spot, and I was happy with them. And this barrier here, and then we put some rocks in. So what you can see here is a finished wall. I'm fairly happy with that. It's got some greenery on it. It's got some rocks on it. I'm not going to do much else with that. The back wall needs some more putting on. It looks as though it's half finished, so I'm going to do more of that. I'll probably put a little bit more on there, but not much. I've managed to get some enrichment items in. So we've got the mirror mobile in here. It was quite difficult to get that in because it was trying to adjust the land when I put it in. So what I did was I actually sunk it into the ground ever so slightly. We've got the ubiquitous duck in there, which sometimes goes and floats in the water. And up here we've got a little feeding platform, a little water spray, and down in the bottom of the water, which you can't see, there it is, we've got a feeder down there, which should be working. The water is quite deep. I did have to make the actual enclosure a lot deeper. So this is a 4-meter wall, so it probably goes down to the required 8 meters there. But there is a fish feeder in there as well now, so the fish can, the penguins can eat fish, so that's cool. What else have we got? So if we wander over here, past the little streamy thing that we've got in, I've put the entrance in here. Now in real life there isn't an entrance here, and I suspect there's a small gate at the top here. I am not 100% sure. I really don't know. I have got limitations on how wide I can make everything because the penguins need to go in various spots, and this just seemed to fit nicely. In real life there's a seating area up here which is going to be difficult to get in, but we can do something to represent that. And it's sort of, this is sort of higher and this is a bit lower, and it's all a bit higgledy-piggledy, but we've managed to fit it in, so I'm fairly happy with it. We've got the little hut here. People can walk in there. There is actually a bit of pathway in there, so people can come in, they can look at the penguin thing, they can sit down. That's all usable. I've put this in. This is pretty cool. It hides the end of this barrier. So if I can just show you a little bit of the actual enclosure again. So we've got a double barrier here. You see the 2 silver rails, stone wall around it, brickwork, curved bit of greenery in there. Now I want to talk to you a bit about the greenery. So this is quite important. It's important to get your penguins, or whichever animals you're using, into the enclosure quite early. And the reason for that is I wanted to put some greenery in here, but I can't just put any greenery in. It's got to be greenery that the penguins will like, because the barrier is here. So if we have a look at where the barrier actually goes, you can see the barrier runs along this greenery here. So all this greenery that's inside the barrier counts as being inside the enclosure. Alright, including, I think, the trees just outside. But everything in here counts as being inside. All right, it's very, very important. Also, it's important to make sure that your animals can get everywhere. Let me just take that barrier off. I'll come back to the greenery in a sec. So yeah, so the keepers can come in. You can see there's a blue line runs all the way up to the feeder and down into the water. Both pieces of water, penguins can get into both. I have seen them enter water from both of these. I haven't actually seen them go in this water at all yet, even though the fish feeder is down there. So we know that they can get around. But when you're actually putting things in, obviously you've got to make sure that your penguins are happy. So terrain-wise, oh, that's changed. Why has that changed? What have I changed? I had this green, and this was at about 70. Something's obviously changed. I'll need to have a quick look at that. But it was green and green. It will be green and green for when I upload it to the workshop. But everything is good in here. We've got enough rock, sand, soil. I've used the rock as a background for the rock work up here, on here, and on here. So even where I haven't got big grey boulders in, it looks like it's rocky anyway. They wanted quite a lot of sand and soil. It looks as though there's a lot of sand in there, but they want a lot more, and I didn't really want to put too much in there. But it's important to get the right amount of grass and coverage. So what I've done is, in order to get all this greenery around here, which the penguins really wouldn't like because they think it's inside their enclosure, this is actually underwater plant. This is underwater eelgrass. Now this plant here is underwater hydrilla. For some reason, if you put the hydrilla into an enclosure above the water, it counts as grass. So when you're looking at your coverage, it goes up when you put a hydrilla in. When you put an eelgrass on land, like these, not like this one, this one, this one, this one, this, and all this around inside, it doesn't count it for some reason in the amount of coverage, or it counts so little that it doesn't matter. So I've been able to use this around here as my bushes and foliage without upsetting the penguins, because the penguins, they want that sort of grass anyway, but it's not overpowering them. There's not too much of it. So that's quite a good tip with the eelgrass. You can use that up here. What else? Well, they've got the amount of enrichment needed. So there's the underwater box feeder, which this penguin may or may not be going to have a look at. Who knows? Mirror mobile, the duck and the sprinkler up there. Everything seems to be happy. Everybody seems to be okay. They've got the right amount of enrichment, food and toy wise. So there you go. We should be happy for social as well. I've got the minimum 6 amount of penguins in here. I've got 3 male, 3 female, and they're quite happy in there. So it all looks good. I'll have another quick look at the terrain, and we'll get some more rocks on the back. But that's pretty much finished for the penguin enclosure. And we're going to be looking at a few other bits. So we need some foliage across the top here, which the penguins aren't going to like. So maybe there'll be some more eelgrass running along the top. But that is pretty much the penguins done. I'm not going to record any more video and show you it finished, because you'll see it in later videos, and you'll see it when I upload it to the workshop anyway. I don't know when that's going to be. It won't be in the next week or two. It'll be when I've finished a fair proportion of the zoo, when I've got 2 or 3 or 4 exhibits to show you. So I'll just sort the land out, and that's it for me for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Let me know if you want like a full build video, or let me know if you're quite happy with just a walkthrough at the end. I won't be doing so much explaining next time. I'll just be sort of showing you what I've built, or I'll just be showing you a speed build, depending on what it is that you really want to see. But that's it. We've got penguins in our Royal Burger Zoo. I hope you like it. I hope you like the penguin enclosure. My name's Backblast. I'll catch you next time.